Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. We are now just 1 week away until WWE Elimination Chamber, live on the WWE Network for just $9.99. You know the drill. Got your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag RoadToNoDQ1000. First one today comes from James. With Lesnar putting his career on the line versus Goldberg, would this be the only way to make another match necessary? That's an interesting concept, to have Brock Lesnar put his career on the line against Goldberg. I really like that, actually. I think that would be a logical way to set up that match, rather than Goldberg just saying, alright, I'll do one more match, what the hell. I would like the idea of Lesnar putting something on the line so Goldberg has a reason to do the match. I think it's a great idea. So I would consider doing that if I was WWE. Not sure if they will or not. My guess is Goldberg will just accept the match, or something will happen at Fastlane causing the match to take place where Goldberg feels he has to get revenge on Brock Lesnar. Lesnar does something, whether it's cost Goldberg the match or interferes or does something. We'll have to wait and see. There's still 2 months until WrestleMania. WWE has plenty of time to figure out something for this Goldberg versus Lesnar match. Hopefully it's creative. That's what I'm hoping. Got this one here from NJ Sickboy. I feel the only way to make Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg interesting is to make it Hell in a Cell. Your thoughts? The problem with doing a Hell in a Cell match is that fans would expect some sort of big bump. You know, last year we had Shane McMahon doing the jump off the cell, and that's very memorable. How can Goldberg and Brock Lesnar top that? The expectations, I think, would be just too high with those guys having a Hell in a Cell match. I'm not sure if that's really an ideal match stipulation, a Hell in a Cell match. I'm not sure I would do that. I think that Goldberg and Lesnar could benefit from something like no DQ rules, where it's a street fight and they can brawl all over the place. I think that would be a suitable stipulation for WrestleMania. But Hell in the Cell, I think that it would be asking too much from those guys, and I'm not sure they would be able to deliver with the fans' expectations for that kind of match. Got this one here from Marcus Hunter. The Royal Rumble winner main events WrestleMania. Are they really putting Orton versus Wyatt after Goldberg Lesnar? I hope so. I'm really curious to see which match goes on last at WrestleMania. Now, right now, it's too early to say which match would be the best candidate for going on last. We have to see how the build goes. I've always said this. I feel WrestleMania should end with a moment that fans are satisfied with. You look at WrestleMania 31, Seth Rollins cashing in Money in the Bank. That was an epic moment, and the fans live at the stadium, Levi Stadium, they were going crazy. And when I was leaving that place, like, there was so much positive buzz. People were satisfied when they left the building, and I think that's what's really the most important thing. And sometimes if a show ends on a sour note, people look at the entire show as a negative. You look at this year's Royal Rumble, which was one of the best WWE pay-per-views in many years, but Roman Reigns coming out at number 30 disappointed fans so much that the show got more thumbs down votes on NoDQ.com's poll than anything else, which I think is ridiculous. I think fans were wrong to give that show a thumbs down vote because of the fact that Reigns was number 30. But that's how people are. If the show ends on a sour note, people tend to look at the entire show as a negative. For WrestleMania, I would go with the match that's going to leave fans being satisfied. And yes, you should have one of the title matches as the main event. So if Goldberg and Lesnar is for the Universal title, you might want to put that as the main event. But I do not feel you always have to put the biggest marquee match on last, especially if it's a match that might not leave fans satisfied. This one comes from Josh Bender. Although it happened at WrestleMania 31, do you think WWE would end WrestleMania with a heel standing tall like Brock Lesnar winning the title? I do think fans would be happy with Brock winning the title. It's just a matter of, can Brock and Goldberg really deliver a WrestleMania caliber main event? That's the big question. I mean, there's no doubt the star power is there. And I think fans would be happy with Lesnar winning. However, if the match stinks up the joint, then fans are going to, again, have a sour taste from the match, and they might look down on the entire WrestleMania show. With WrestleMania 32, Roman Reigns and Triple H did not exactly light the world on fire, and it was very much a downer ending to WrestleMania, and it left a lot of people unhappy with the show, calling it one of the worst WrestleManias, and you know how it is. So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about Brock and Goldberg, if that should go on last. To me, it's very much up in the air right now, and I'm sure WWE will go in many different directions on how they're going to do the match order for WrestleMania, but it will be very interesting to see how things play out. Got this one here from David Aaron Savage. Should Goldberg beat Brock again at WrestleMania 33 to fully cement a legacy as the only man Brock could not beat? To me, the only logical reason for doing that would be to throw another curveball at people, since everyone's going to expect Brock to win this match. Hey, Goldberg's gotten the best of Brock 3 times now. Surely it's not going to happen a 4th time, and WWE may just have that happen just for the sake of, again, throwing off the fans. But the only way I see Goldberg possibly winning is if he's going to stick around after WrestleMania. If he signs another deal with WWE and he keeps doing more matches, then maybe they would make an argument for Goldberg beating Brock a 4th time and being Brock's official kryptonite. But my guess is Goldberg's going to be done after WrestleMania, and if that's the case, then the guy who's sticking around needs to go over, and Brock is going to be your attraction moving forward. It makes the most sense for him to finally beat Goldberg and redeem himself from the 3 losses. I guess you call the Royal Rumble a loss. The fact that he was tossed out by Goldberg. So Goldberg, if he's sticking around, maybe put him over. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, because Brock needs to look strong, and I feel like his name value is going down, although he's still getting big reactions from people, so maybe the losses aren't hurting him that much. I mean, it's really hard to say. Got this one here from, not even sure how to pronounce this name, Micah James. I apologize if I mispronounced the name. Will Goldberg be headliner for next year's Hall of Fame? My guess is he will probably, but if Undertaker is retiring this year, then I could see Undertaker being the headliner next year. I think Goldberg should be a headliner on his own. I mean, having Goldberg and Undertaker go in the same year is not necessary, especially when WWE is running short on main event Hall of Fame people to have go in. I think it would be best to do Goldberg one year and Undertaker the next year. If Undertaker's wrestling at next year's WrestleMania, then the obvious choice is Goldberg to go into the Hall of Fame. And then after that, the next year you have Undertaker go into the Hall of Fame. That, I think, would be ideal, but I could see WWE flipping that around if Undertaker is done after this year's WrestleMania. This one comes from our columnist, JT. Hey Aaron, with Elimination Chamber coming up soon, Bray Wyatt winning the WWE title is obvious. Do you agree? Yeah, to me that is the most obvious choice. I did the poll on NoDQ.com asking fans for their opinion on the Elimination Chamber outcome, and Bray Wyatt's winning by a very large margin. Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton for WrestleMania seems like the obvious direction. Now this week I will be doing my predictions video with Jeff Meacham and David Payne. We'll be talking more about that in detail and what we think and possible alternative scenarios. But I am going to go with Bray Wyatt to win. But things could change. Anything can happen in WWE. You never know. There may be another curveball. You know, WWE every once in a while, they do like to throw the curveballs out there just to throw off fans. And, you know, somebody asked me about John Cena possibly retaining and then losing on an edition of SmackDown, so that way he doesn't have a 2-week title reign after becoming 16-time champion. Cena could win We could have some sort of swerve where AJ wins. There are other possibilities, but I do think Bray's the obvious choice. Got this one here from Sean T. Flick. After the assumed Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt feud, should the Wyatt family gimmick be over? There's a different couple of ways this can go. I could see it being over and maybe Bray Wyatt branching off on his own. I could see Bray feuding with Luke Harper. I could see Bray forming his own Wyatt family, a new Wyatt family, and that actually leads into the next question here from Drew. Could you see Bray bringing in Sanity to be his new group after he and Orton split, factoring into the feud? I could see some sort of storyline where Bray branches off on his own and maybe there's a new Wyatt family formed with Bray bringing in Sanity, for instance, or maybe even Luke Harper brings in his own group. I could see something like that playing out. It might be interesting because I'm really wondering how WWE is going to handle Bray Wyatt after WrestleMania. Is he going to be on his own? Is he going to reform the Wyatt family with Bray Wyatt, with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, or possibly bring in Sanity? I mean, I would expect Eric Young and Sanity to end up on the main roster fairly soon, but I mean that might not happen right away. They may wait 6 months to a year before doing that. It'll be interesting to see what happens if WWE decides to go in that direction. But it would be a good way to utilize Sanity, I think, to bring them in and have them represent the new Wyatt family or form some sort of super group out of the two factions. That might be interesting. Got this one here from Mike T. On Monday, March 13th in Madison Square Garden, Owens and Lesnar will face off on a SmackDown house show. What are your thoughts? Interesting. I mean, that could be another monkey wrench in this whole storyline with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Maybe Lesnar costs Goldberg the title at Fastlane, and then Lesnar challenges Owens at Madison Square Garden and wins the title. That could end up happening. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. With house shows, we rarely see any kind of title changes, and I cannot remember the last time that the WWE title or the Universal title or World title changed hands at a house show and at Madison Square Garden. I mean, the most famous one, of course, is Diesel beating Bob Backlund in MSG. I would not rule that out from happening. I mean, that is certainly a possibility. I always thought it would be weird if Brock Lesnar cost Goldberg the title, since you would think in the storyline, from Brock Lesnar's perspective, he would want Goldberg to be the champion. But if in the storyline it's explained that Lesnar is going to be the one to beat Owens and he costs Goldberg so he can win the title from Owens, then I think that would make fine sense. It would suck to be Kevin Owens losing the title to Brock Lesnar like that, but I would not be surprised to see that happen. And of course, Jericho would play a role in the storyline, and perhaps Jericho would cost Owens the title. So there are different ways it can go, but it's definitely interesting that Lesnar is going to be facing Owens at Madison Square Garden, and it makes you wonder what's going to happen at Fastlane. Got this one here from Larby. Why didn't WWE make American Alpha defend their titles inside Elimination Chamber like New Day in 2015? That Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in Corpus Christi in 2015 was pretty much a dud. I mean, it did not go over well. I liked the idea of the secondary titles being defended in the chamber, but it just wasn't a very memorable show. And I think WWE has learned from that pay-per-view. First of all, I've never been a fan of doing two chamber matches in one night. Yeah, it's cool if you're there live to get to see two chamber matches, but I think it takes away the impact when you do two matches. When you do one match a year, it makes it more special. If they did two Royal Rumbles in a year, to me that would make the Rumble less special. And I feel the same way about the chamber. I like the fact they're just doing one chamber match, and at the end of the day, the WWE title is still the most important title. So, I was fine with them experimenting and doing the tag team elimination chamber and the United States title in the chamber. Maybe one day they'll do a women's elimination chamber. I'm fine with them doing that once in a while, but for the most part, I think the WWE title should be defended at the chamber and be the only chamber match. Got this one here from Daniel Lynch. Who would you put in the IC title ladder match at WrestleMania 33, and who would you have win it? Well, I would rather see a Money in the Bank match, and that would be with the Raw guys, since the Money in the Bank pay-per-view is going to be SmackDown branded. But if WWE does end up doing an IC title ladder match, like they've done the past 2 years, I would like to see the guys like Ambrose. I mean, those would be the obvious guys, the guys that right now do not have a key match at WrestleMania. And it may still end up happening, who knows? Dean Ambrose is not currently on the rumored WrestleMania card. I would have Ambrose retain, though. I would not go with a new champion. I think Ambrose is in a good spot as IC champion for now, and I think he would look very strong retaining the title in the IC title ladder match. So that's what I would do. I would have Ambrose retain if I was going to do that match for WrestleMania. Got this one here from Ryan is War. What would have happened with the Triple H and NWO storyline if Nash never got hurt? I believe they were going to do Nash versus Triple H at some point. I think what was going to happen was Triple H was going to turn down the NWO, and it was originally going to be Kevin Nash versus Triple H at SummerSlam. And then, of course, Triple H ended up facing Shawn Michaels due to Kevin Nash tearing his quad. And, it's interesting. What would have happened with Shawn Michaels if Kevin Nash had not gotten hurt? Shawn was part of the NWO. Would he have eventually turned face? Who would he have wrestled? What would have happened with Shawn Michaels? I think that's what's really intriguing about that scenario, how things would have played out for Shawn if Kevin Nash had not gotten injured. Would we have seen Shawn Michaels versus Kevin Nash? I mean, that certainly would have been a possibility. So, it would have been interesting to see how things would have turned out for Shawn if Nash had not gotten hurt. That'll wrap it up for NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Please share this video with a friend, anybody you know who watches wrestling. Please spread the word about NoDQ&A video to anybody you can. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news regarding Elimination Chamber, and I will see you guys next time.